Hey, how's everyone doing today? Today we're going to be coding a Bollinger Band Breakout Strategy. And we're going to be coding it in PineScript. The final result should look a little something like this. So the indicators we're using one Bollinger Band and two moving averages. The entire idea is we're going to be buying breakouts using the Bollinger Bands. So when the price closes above the upper Bollinger Band, we're going to take a buy, just like this here. And then when price closes below the lower side of the Bollinger Band, we're going to take a sell. We're going to use these moving averages to determine the trend. And we should end up with nice trades just like this. So when the market's trending really nicely in one direction, we should be able to, just like this here, sell, hit a TP, price comes back, sell, and so on. So that's the entire idea. That's what we're going to be making today. So let's jump right into it. Alright, so I've just gone ahead and I've created a new strategy. So we're just going up to open here, new strategy, and this is what comes up here. So it comes with some pre-filled code. This whole section here is basically an already built strategy. It's a moving average crossover. You can see it does a crossover between two simple moving averages, one being 14 and one 28. And that's what it does for the buy condition, and then it just does the opposite, so a cross under for the same for the sell condition. We're just going to leave this at the moment. We're going to put this right at the bottom, and we'll come back to that later. Now back up here with the strategy, we could change this here and change the name of the strategy. So we're going to call it Breakout BB for Breakout Bollinger Band. So the first thing we want to do is we want to make some user inputs for the Bollinger Band and the moving averages. So with the Bollinger Band and the moving average, we need to know, so the Bollinger Band, we need to know the length and the standard deviation, and we can make this a user input, so users can change this in the settings. And we also want to make, for the moving averages, we want to have the lengths of the two moving averages. So we'll start with the Bollinger Band. I'm going to name this Bollinger Band length. Name this Bollinger length. I'm going to go equals. It's going to be an integer. I'm going to set this to a default value of 50. I'm going to name it length. I'm going to set it a minimum value of 1, so you can't change it any lower than 1. I'm going to give this a group. So we group these settings inside the settings. I'll show you in a second. And we're going to give this group a title, and we're just going to name it BB for Bollinger Band. So that's the length done, and we just want to do this again for the standard deviation. So we'll go BB STD for standard deviation. We're going to go input. This time it's going to be a float. So the difference between an integer and a float is that a float can have a decimal place, and we need a decimal place for this one here. I'm going to set the standard deviation to just 1. Again, we're going to set a minimum value. This time we're going to set quite low, then a max value. We'll set that to 10. And we're going to set it and give it the same group as above, because these are both Bollinger Band settings. Alright, done. We can save this. Save it Breakout BB. Perfect. So we're going to add this to our chart. You can see that it's added to our chart. It's giving us these are the trades that it's taking with that default moving average crossover I told you, so we'll just forget about that for the moment. And you can see these trades that it's taking, but again, just leave that for the moment. What I'll show you is so we've got the two settings here with the group called BB. Perfect. So we'll go back to the code and we'll add the moving averages now. So we need one moving average short. I'll call that short length. This was also going to be an integer. I'm going to give this a length of 20. I'm going to name it EMA short. And we're going to give this a group. This is going to be a different group to the Bollinger Band, of course, because these are moving averages, and we'll name this MA for the group. Now we're just going to go ahead and copy all of this, paste it again. This time we're going to change it to a long, average long length. We'll change that to 200, and we'll change that to long as well. So now we have a moving average short length equals 20, and moving average long length equals 200. Same with the standard deviation equals 1, and then Bollinger Band length equals 50, and these can all be changed in the settings now. So this is exactly what we want. And that's all the settings we need for the moment. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make the Bollinger Band. We're going to add that to our chart. So PineScript has an inbuilt Bollinger Band function, so we don't have to do anything crazy for this. We're just going to have to call that function, and it's going to give us the upper, the middle, and the lower numbers for the Bollinger Band, and that's what we're going to do. So that function is TA for technical analysis, and we do dot. You can see all these different inbuilt technical analysis tools that TradingView has, or PineScript, and we're going to use BB for Bollinger Band. You can see that calling this function, it requires 3 inputs. The series, which we're just going to have as the close. We've got the length, and we're going to use that BB length that we've called earlier. And then we've got this multiplier, which is the standard deviation, and we're going to use BB SDD that we used earlier. And that's it. Now to get the 3 values, the upper, lower, and middle, we need to create a tuple, and I'll name these. We'll do middle, lower. Oh, I think it's actually upwards first. Middle, upper, and lower. If you're ever unsure, you could read the PineScript reference manual. I still read this all the time. You can see that, just like this here, they've added a function, but it's essentially the same, and it gets the Pine middle, upper, and lower. And that's exactly what we want. So that calls it, but it doesn't actually plot anything on our chart yet. So we've got the Bollinger Band, we have these values, but they're not actually going to be visible on our chart if we save this at the moment. So what we're going to do is we want to plot these values, and we're really just interested in the upper and the lower. So that's what we'll do now. So I'm going to name this, I'm going to plot these, and we're going to do plot, and we'll plot the upper. We're going to name this upper, maybe name it upper BB, and then we're just going to set the color. We're going to set the color to, we'll just set it to green. Just like that. Now we want to duplicate this because we want one of them for the upper and one of them for lower, so we'll just duplicate it. I'm going to copy this lower here, set it to lower, we'll keep the color green, and then of course we'll change the title here to lower. Now if we save this here, this should appear on our screen with the upper and lower bands for the moving average with the use inputs. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll save. There you go. So you can see that it's got green, we've got the green upper and lower. And again, these entries at the moment are not accurate. This is just with the default moving average, so we'll fix that later, but we're just working step by step at the moment. So you can see the Bollinger Band are all active. We go into the settings here, and because we've linked these up, we can change this, so we can set this to 1.5, and you'll see that the Bollinger Bands get larger. You can change the length, just like that. Perfect. Now let's do the moving averages. So that's simple bit of code. It's 3 lines, and we've got a Bollinger Band on our chart. Now, yeah, let's do the moving averages. So these are quite simple, just as simple as the Bollinger Band. They've got, PineScript has got it built in, so we don't have to do any calculations to calculate any EMA or anything like that. We just need to feed it the length and the series, and then it would spit it back out for us. So let's do that. So we're going to name this the short moving average. And again, we're going to go TA for technical analysis, dot, and then we're going to use an EMA. The source, Again, we're just going to use the close, so it's just the current close. For that, you could use like the open, the high, or low, and you get different results, but we're just going to keep it simple today. And then the length, so the short length, we're going to use obviously the MA short length we've set up earlier. Better make sure it's case sensitive, so better make sure we type that right. That's the short one done. Now we're just going to do long MA. Better spell that right. We're going to do again t.ma. We're going to use the close, and then for this one we're going to use the long, just like that. Now, same with the Bollinger Band. We've called these, but we haven't actually plotted anything on our chart. So we're going to have to do basically the same thing that we've done here, but just for these moving averages. So we're going to go plot short MA, because that's what we've called it. And that's that one done. It's just as simple as that. And we'll plot the long MA as well. Just like that. Now I'm going to change the color of this one, just to make it a little easier to distinguish them on the screen. I'm going to change the color. I'm going to go color equals, then we're going to go color, and we'll set it to yellow. Now let's save this, and we should be able to see two moving averages on the screen, one yellow, which is the longest one, which should be 200, and the short one should be only 20 length, and then obviously we've got the Bollinger Band still on the screen from before. So we'll save that. Let's take a look. Alright, perfect. So you can see that we've got the two green lines of the Bollinger Band. You can see them stick together. We've got the blue line, which is the short EMA, so that's the 20 length. And then we've got the long EMA, which is the yellow. You can see it's very smoothed out because it's the long 200. And that's just what we want. So we've got all the indicators that we need on the chart and ready to go. Now we just need to make the entry and the buy entry and the sell entry conditions. So let's go ahead and jump into that. Alright, so now that we have all the necessary indicators, and we've got all the values and everything attached to our chart, we can go ahead and start on the entry conditions. Let's tidy this up here. So we've got the Bollinger Band. We'll add some nice clean line breakers here. We've got the moving average. Get this down out of the way. Alright. So let's start off with the buy condition. We're going to make a new variable called buy, and we're going to set it to essentially all the rules that need to be true for us to enter a buy. And that's going to be the following. So we're going to need, so first of all, if the close, the current price, is larger than the upper band of the Bollinger, so we can type upper. If that's true, that's one of the required rules for this entry. We're going to also need the short EMA to be above the long EMA, so that's going to make we're only buy in like a bullish trending market. So we'll do that. Short MA is bigger than the long MA. Perfect. Another little requirement is we're going to require the current price to be higher than the short MA. So that kind of prevents, like, if it's going kind of sideways, maybe the market's just finished trending, the moving averages are in right order, but maybe price is falling quite below the short EMA, but still above the long EMA. So we'll just add this extra condition to make sure it's perfect. Now again, obviously you guys can change all this at the end. You can take the source code, change it to however you like. This is just how we're going to do it today. So the close above short. And the last rule that we're going to have is essentially we want to stop price from continually buying if it's just well overextended from the Bollinger Band. So basically the rule is going to be the last candle, so not the candle that we're currently on, but the previous candle, its low must be lower than the upper Bollinger Band. So essentially it's got to just be breaking out. We don't want to be buying it if it's like already well broken out, because we're going to be late to the party. So basically what we're going to do here is we're going to take the low, and it's going to be the last candle, not this current candle, and we want it to be smaller than the upper limit. And that's it there. So each one of these things, if they each become true, this here becomes true. And then once buy is true, we can add it down here and send the order. So perfect. So we're going to just basically do the exact same thing, but we're going to be doing the opposite for sells. So if close is lower than this, if short EMA is lower than that, everything flipped. So we'll do that right now. So we'll do sell. If close is smaller, and that's going to be the lower, so that we're breaking out on the lower side, and short MA is smaller than the long MA, and we also want the close to be smaller than the short MA, and then this here, it would be the high. The previous high is actually higher than the lower. Perfect. All right, cool. So what we're going to also do is we're going to add in some custom closes as well. So for example, if we're in a buy trade and the price closes below the short EMA, we could exit the trade. So even if it hasn't hit our stop loss yet, hasn't hit our TP yet, we'll close the trade early because we're essentially thinking that the market's going to turn around. We'll take whatever profit we have, we'll just close the trade for whatever. We'll close the trade. So what we're going to do here is we'll add, we're going to basically do the exact same thing here, but we're just going to make it for the close trades. We're going to do close buy, and we're going to set that equal to, so if the close is smaller than the short MA, so if price is just closed below the short MA and we're looking for buys, if we are in a buy, we don't want to be in it anymore. And this time we're going to use or instead of and. With this buy entry, we need all of these to be true, which is why we're using the and in between each. With these close, we just want if any of these become true. If we close below this, we don't need the next thing to be true. We just need a single section of this statement to be true. And the next thing is if we close below the lower. So if we've closed below the lower as well, that basically means if we've by the breakout on the upper Bollinger Band and then price reverses all the way somehow we're lower than the short moving average, we'll close, or if we've somehow gone lower than the lowest side of the Bollinger Band, we'll close as well. And that's it, perfect. And we'll do the opposite for sells. So we'll do close sell. So if close is bigger than the short moving average, or close is bigger than the upper, we could close our sell position. Perfect. All right, so let's actually program some of these entries and exits. Now that we have the conditions built, we can change these up and actually start entering and exiting in the correct order, in the correct places, I should say. So the first thing we want to do is we want to make a variable here. It's going to be a bool, so it's going to be either true or false. I'm going to name this in buy. We'll start off in false. In buy. And basically what this is going to do is this is going to track whether or not we are currently in a buy or not. So if we're in a buy, it's obviously going to be true, and if we're not, it's going to be false. Now let's do our entry. So we're going to do if. So if buy, so we're referencing this up here, and if this is true, so all these, if that's true, and we're not currently in a buy, so if we're looking for, if our buy condition is correct and we're currently not in a position, that means we can get ready to open one. We're going to go strategy, entry. We're going to call this buy. We'll give it a title. This is going to be buy. And we'll do strategy, long. So just like that, if our buy condition is true and we're currently not in a buy, we're going to buy. Now this buying here, and so after we've brought here, we want to actually change this in buy to true, because we've just brought it, so we want to update this. Whether we exit the trade, we're going to obviously change it to false. If we enter a trade, we're going to change it to true. That way we're going to keep track of whether or not we're in a buy or not. Now just like that, that's the entry condition, and we're going to do the exit condition now. So we're going to say if we're currently in a buy, so if this is called and we're currently in a buy, we'll continue on here. And then we're going to say if this gets called, so if this is true, so if we're currently in a buy and it's calling us to close a buy, so any of these are true, we want to then close the strategy. So we're going to do strategy, close. We're going to close the buy strategy that we've just opened up before. And that's going to be it there. And then remember, now that we're out of our buys, we want to change our buy tracker. So our in buy, we want to set this now to false, because we just closed our buys. We're not in any buys anymore. Now just like that, that should buy when this happens. It should close when this happens. We haven't got our TP or stop loss yet set, but we'll save this and we'll see if it will get any errors or changes everything. Perfect. So you can see that we've got a buy position right here. Again, we don't have TP or stop loss set yet, so it's just buying and then closing when when we get that close buy thing called. So we've got it buys here on the breakout, the moving average is in the right direction, it rides the entire breakout up to the top, and then when price closes below the 20 moving average, that's one of our signs to cancel our order, cancel our buy, sorry. It closes it, and perfect, we get this nice breakout strategy. Alright, so we currently got the basics of our buy condition set up. So we've got if our buy condition is true, so all this up here, and we're currently not in a buy, we could go ahead and take a long position. And then of course we track our buy by turning this now to true, because we're now in a buy. And then on the close side, if we are in a buy, because we can't close a trade if we're not in a position, so we check if we're in a position first, and then we also check if this close buy is true, which is up here. And if both those things are true, then we close our buy strategy. And then of course we change this to false because we're no longer in a buy. So that's perfect. So now we want to add the TP, and we also want to add that nice red and green P&L box, so it's easy to see on the chart when you're taking a trade and what's going on. So let's add both those things now. So the first thing we want to do is we actually want to create a user, it's called a UDT, a user definable type. And how we do that is we go type, we're going to name it P&L, and this is going to hold a couple things. It's going to hold our entry bar, so and that's going to be an integer. We'll call this entry bar. Then we also want to get the entry price. Then we also want TP, TP, so we also want TP, so we'll just do TP like that, and we also want stop loss. So we're going to track all those things inside this P&L user type right now. So now that we've laid this out, we want to actually create one of these. So this is just, we're just like kind of declaring what P&L should hold. And then now we're going to actually create a P&L object type. I'm going to go var, it's going to be a P&L object type. So we're not creating a bool, bool or a float or anything, we're creating one of these. and we're going to name this one buy side, and it's going to be a new P&L. So creating one of these, it automatically creates one of each. So it's easier to do it this way because each one of these is kind of held inside the user type. It's just more manageable and easier to do it this way. Now that we've done that, we can come down here. So now that we've defined this, we go ahead and call the buy side down here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to call, on our entry, we're going to set the entry bar and the entry price. So we go ahead and we'll use this. So we'll go buy side dot entry bar, and we're going to set that to the current bar index, so just whatever bar we're currently on. And then we're going to do the same thing with buy side dot entry price, and that's just going to be equal to the close, so whatever the current close is. So that's essentially like an ask or the bid at the moment. The other things, we've got to complete these. We've got to do, we'll do stop loss now. So we'll do the buy side, and we'll do stop loss, and that's going to equal to, you can see here that our buy side, basically our stop loss is in most cases going to be the short EMA, because that's going to be probably triggered first, rather than the lower side of the Bollinger Band. So we're just going to use the short EMA as our essentially our hard stop loss. We're going to just use that short EMA as the stop loss for our red and green P&L boxes on the chart. So we'll set the short EMA to that. Perfect. And the last thing we want to do is set the TP. Now the TP, we're just going to set it to whatever the distance is from the close to the short EMA. So whatever that distance is, we're just going to do that as our TP. So I guess it's going to be like a 1-to-1 risk reward. So we'll just add whatever the distance is from the current close to the short EMA. We'll add that onto our current close price. The way we do that is we go close, and then we want to add it. We'll get the distance between the current close and the short EMA, just like that. We want to divide that by the point value to get the exact, to get the points, and we just want to add the close with the point value of these two, and that's going to be the buy TP, just like that. So we've filled out all these things needed to create the P&L side, the P&L boxes for the buy side. We go ahead and save that. So let's go ahead and actually call our TP. So at the moment we've got the TP, but it's not actually going to do anything yet. So we're going to come down here and modify this section. On this line here, it says if close by, which is up here. We want to add another, basically an alternative to this as well. So we want to go or. So if this is true, or the close is bigger than the buy side TP. So if either of these things are true, so if we're closing our trade because it's like a stop loss reason, or we're closing our trade because the price is actually larger than our TP, we want to then close our buy, and then of course track that our in buy is now false because we won't be in a position. So we'll save that. Now the last thing to do is actually create these red and green boxes. So we're going to create a function for this. We're going to put this function up here. I'm going to call the function draw P&L. This is how you create a function in PineScript. Just like that. Inside our function, we're going to have a few different things that we're going to need to require. That's what we need to require to draw this red and green boxes on our chart. So we've got the entry bar, got the entry price, So this would be one corner of the box is obviously when we enter on the bar and on the price. Then we've got the TP price. We have the exit bar and then the exit price. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to draw two boxes using these values here. So I'm going to go draw, I'm going to go box, new, entry bar, I'm going to go +1, let me do entry price, exit bar, +1, and then we do exit price, and then we're going to change the color because it's going to be drawing a box right over our all over our chart. We'll change the background color to be exact, and we're going to just go color. We're going to go color red because this one here is going to be like the stop loss side of the red and green. Perfect. And we're going to change the border. It's by default the border has got a border color. We're just going to remove that too. So we're going to go border color. We go, and then we're going to just change. I'm going to make it completely invisible. With this red color too, we don't want to completely, we need some opacity because we need to see through it. So we'll drag that down to about here-ish, make it a bit see-through. Perfect. So that's the stop loss box, and then we're just going to copy this because most of it's going to be the exact same. Paste it right here. We've got entry bar, entry price, exit price, and then instead of exit price, we're just going to use TP price. And then we're going to take right this, we'll do color green. We'll keep the border color invisible, and again we'll change this to like green like that. Perfect. So now that we've made this function, we need to call it. So this doesn't actually get ran until we call this here. And we're going to call this here right down once we close our position. So we'll put it right down here. Once it's closed the position, it's going to then draw the boxes on our chart to show that where our stop loss was and where our TP was, and put it nice and pretty for us. So we're going to call that by going draw P&L. And we're going to give it these values here. So the entry bar is going to be our buy side entry bar. And our entry price is going to be our buy side entry price. Our TP price, as you can guess, is probably our buy side TP price. Exit bar. Now exit bar is just going to be whatever the bar currently is when we're calling this. So if we're closing right now on bar 1000, it's just going to be the current bar, which is 1000. And then the last thing is the exit price. And that there will be the stop loss price. Now just like that, we've tracked the entry and the exit of the bars and the stop loss and the TP, and then we're going to call all this and draw the boxes once we close our position. So let's save this and see what it looks like. Perfect. So you can see here, it's doing exactly what we want. So it's buying, it's drawing the box, it's got a 1-to-1 you could see. Stop loss originally was right here with the, that's the 20 moving average, and the TP was just a 1-to-1. And you can see that it's drawing it for each one. It's perfect, it's exactly what we want. We'll get rid of this now, we don't need that. That's all the buy side's done. Now all we need to do is basically duplicate all this and just invert it for the sell side. So let's jump into that. So we don't need to create another one of these. We just need to call and we just need to basically initiate a new one. We don't need to like draw up this again. So we're just going to copy this here. I'm going to paste it. It's going to create a new P&L, and this time we're going to call it sell side. We don't need to copy or paste this again because that's just a function that we call and just draws the boxes, so that's fine. Let's add a nice divider here. Alright, so let's start by copying all this, and I'm flipping it around for the sell side. So we want to do same thing. We want to track if we're in a buy or in a sell. Boom. Now, if sell and not in sell, strategy, entry, sell, strategy, short. Just like that. And then we want to do the same thing like all this. So we want to now change in sell to true. It's important when we've declared a variable up here and we want to change the value of the variable. We use the colon and then equal sign. When we're just initiating a variable or setting the like variables, like creating the variable for the first time, we just use equals. So you can see here that I'm doing colon equals, and same with all these here. I just thought I'd note that. All right, and we want to do sell side, entry bar, bar index, sell side, entry price, close, sell side, stop loss, short EMA, sell side, TP. That's going to be this, but it's just going to be flipped around. So we're going to do close minus, and we're going to take the short EMA, that's going to be the highest value of the both, take away the close, and then divide it by sim info point value. Just like that. Perfect. Now we'll do this part here. So if we're in a cell, because we can't close a position if we're not in it, if we're in a cell, and then we want to also check if close cell, which is again what we've done up here. So if this becomes true, or the price is actually hit our TP, so the price will be, in this case we're selling, so it will be the close, current price will be smaller than sell side TP. If any of these are true, then we want to go ahead and close our position. So we want to go strategy, close, we're going to close our sell position. We want to then change in sell to false. And then we want to draw our boxes just like this. So I might just copy this here, just like that. Make sure it's in line. And then we want to change, see how it still says buy side. We just want to copy the sell side, paste that there, paste, paste, paste. Just like that. Now let's save this and see if it's got the sell side all done. Saved. Perfect. Awesome. Look at that. You can see that's taken a sell when it's closed below the lower Bollinger Band. It's set the stop loss at the moving average. You can see that we've got a 1-to-1, got and then it hit TP, entered again, and you can see that it's all working just perfectly. Awesome, and just like that, we're finished. So we'll take a look and see the performance. Oh, let's change this one last thing. Actually, you can see it's taking the right amount of trades, but it's not risking. You can see the average trade risk is well below. So what we want to do is when we come back to our code here, go all the way up to the top inside the strategy here. We want to add one more thing. We're going to change the default quantity type and then we're going to change that to strategy. We're going to do percent of equity. So the default percent of equity, I believe, is 1%. And then changing this here, we're just going to use equity as our default type of risk rather than, I think it's the points. So we'll save that. Strategy tester. All right, awesome. And just like that, it's all finished. So I'll change the settings back to default. And you can see that it looks just like the strategy that we started with. You can see it's taking these trades just like we expected. And that's it. That's going to be it for today's video. Hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to be making more of these videos in the future, so drop a comment if you're interested. And yeah, if you want to get the source code, if you don't want to code it, you can just come to the, I've got a free Discord. The link will be in the description. You can come download it and play around with it yourself. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.